Oh, we're live. Rob,
So,
there we go. Welcome back to Crypto Talks again. Um, yeah, we were just daydreaming a little bit there. Um, but yeah, we're back. So hello, and we're gonna go over basically what we always do for everybody who's been here a couple of times. Um, it's gonna be focused on TA for Bitcoin mainly today. I don't think there's a lot more to look at really. We have some cool ETH patterns, I think, happening, or at least something that might be stirring that we maybe can look at. ETH BTC is a fun pair to look at, and it's a pretty important one too. So we might have a look at that. But yes, let's jump right into it. Where's my button? There it is. There we go. All right. There we go. Okay, cool. So I think last stream we decided to keep this trend line here, the one that goes straight through everything. It's been there for I don't even know how long, Rob. It must have been there for at least.
well, we drew it. We
drew it
in
here.
February, so yeah.
We drew it in February. I remember that. So it's been there, and it's been valid throughout the whole process here. We've got some bounces here and here, and yada yada yada. And now it's actually catching that again. And this is where we were talking about last week about a bull pennant, bull flag pattern happening here. And this is where I want to start actually, because we're kind of waiting now for, this double top to not be a double top. Basically, because we were a little bit cautious last week. We were saying, we have a double top. It could crash down, and if it does, it's probably going to be substantial. And right now, it's working at pushing through, and I have the feeling that it's going to make it. And I think Rob would agree here.
It looks uppy. It looks uppy.
Yeah, it looks uppy.
Barring any, fundamental something that causes everything to crash tomorrow and Bitcoin goes down with it, which we know can happen, then yeah, it looks uppy. And there's not really, there's plenty of reasons for it to look uppy. You see now interest rates look like they're kind of topped out or close to topping out. I think there's maybe talks of another 0.5% of sort of fat built in between now and the end of the year if stuff doesn't break. As we know, some stuff's going to break at some point, but for now things seem to not be breaking, and until there's going to be there's still health in sort of jobs markets, employment numbers and all that jazz, and the housing market hasn't fallen over yet. The housing market will fall over because of the interest rate hikes. We'll screw lenders over. We'll screw borrowers over, and that's kind of inevitable. But that is a slow, and that takes a lot of time. People don't fail on the mortgage overnight. The mortgage is the last thing to go. They pay it. They go into debt, and that's why sort of these things hit all parts of the economy. They will pay anything. They'll miss any payment before they miss their mortgage payment, but eventually these people will get dragged in. But no, until things, currently economic data looks sort of kind of rosy. There's nothing.
It looks survivable. It's kind of where, for the general
until the credit crunch comes. This is exactly. The credit crunch is coming, and it's not going to be nice when it comes. But if Bitcoin's $80,000 when it does come, then you were still silly sitting on your hands now going, oh, the economy looks stupid and really bad, and everything's bad, and it's going to get worse forever. You can't sit on your hands forever. You've got to look at what's in front of you, and 6 months of bullishness is what we've got in front of us, and until that kind of reverses, I expect break.
I would say something that I believe a lot of people look at, if you look at mass psychology, if you try to take some psychology into this and see what people are thinking about at this point, TA is one thing, right? But with the credit crunch coming, and it's like people are looking here and maybe they're making some investments. I would not be surprised that there's a lot of people going into riskier investments, but investments overall, to ride the wave up, so that when the credit crunch comes, they can actually sell that off and use that to, survive a little bit longer.
I'll say, and this is why you get bear markets take time to play out. You don't get this. We're not in any sort of financial conditions overall. As much as I've just said, yeah, things look healthy. Conditions are still tight. Things aren't good. They're just not getting worse. They're not deteriorating. But there's still how many, when people are still sort of tetchy, people are still struggling, people are still on the edge. And so if they are taking a risk with things like Bitcoin now, these are going to be weaker hands. These aren't any new entrants to the market, if they're brave enough to enter now. And we know new entrants generally come at all-time highs. It takes a lot of bravery to step in the market now. But if the ones that do, when that next 20 to 30% drop comes, and we know these things happen 4, 5, 6 times a year, we know a 30% drop in Bitcoin's coming. So but somebody who's just bought thinking, oh, it's going to go back, people are saying it's going to go to $10,000, will sell and they'll pay per hand. And when everybody sells, that's it. It doesn't take much movement now. A whole host of other people who missed selling the bottom will see and take this as an opportunity to take profit. So there will be another sustained downtrend before we get a proper breakout, because that's how markets work. Markets do, go to any market, go and look back at the NASDAQ, and you'll see sort of the same behavior back right at the start. These things don't just pop back into up only. And 2019, 2020 is a perfect example. And
no, you're right. And we can hear your cat, but that's funny. I love that. It's not just my cat. Cats are great. They're allowed to make funny noises. But what you're saying is basically, it's very true, because when you see all these big pumps up, and like this one right here, the proper exponential move in the bull market, this is when, somewhere around here is when people start to talk about it, like in the mainstream media and shit. And then suddenly it's like, oh, maybe Bitcoin is a good thing, actually. It's pumping. Okay, let's go. Let's get some. And all these people, they just put some money in, whatever. And then they see this small drop and they're like, oh, no. And they start selling off. That's when experienced guys come in and just buy everything. Like right here.
Now,
right here.
Here's,
right here.
That's
the difference.
If you just want to, in a second, if you just want to switch over to my screen a sec.
Done it.
And one thing to think about is, I always like this chart, this really long-term chart, because you can see just the repeating, sort of repeating patterns. But this cycle has played out sort of very similarly overall to 2013 to 2015, like eerily similar. I sort of say maintain that the true sort of peak of the bull market was April and May. It just so happened that we
it was a technical top there,
and there was a, but if we kind of draw this sort of fractal over and go, we're kind of just very similarly on track to something where if you looked at what we had back here in 2019, when we talk about sort of sustained bearish periods, is that could be the ultimate fuck you for the market. Is what if we don't get one and we just kind of crawl up this line, and we make a new line, and it is just up for the next year until we break the all-time high, and then it just goes apeshit because currency collapse, interest rates, defaults on debt. There's a whole host of things.
ETFs.
Well, yes, spot ETFs. Over that's something I do think definitely will make a difference over the course of years. Like, it just elevates the price level to a new floor and a new ceiling.
Exactly, because more participants means more money in the market, and that also means more stability in the price for the most part. But when that starts to come in, because Bitcoin is so scarce, and you got the halving coming and all that, so like it's going to be hard for a lot of people to get what they want. Like I know, most people say, oh, they want to be a whole coiner and everything. Like after the next bull market, if you're a regular person, there's no way you're going to have a Bitcoin.
No,
there's no way. There's no way that millionaires will be able to have a Bitcoin at some point, because there's too many millionaires, and they cannot, like dollar millionaires, they can't possibly get one each.
There's last time I saw the count was there were over 40 million. So
65 million dollar millionaires in the United States.
So
in the world.
A third of a Bitcoin each.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I have more than that. I'm happy. So either way, let's get back to the TA side of this, because we're trying to figure out, are we going to break up or down here? And I think one of the main
say yes.
The TA says yes.
TA says it currently in process of doing. So I mean, unless this just wants to flag out longer, and does it?
It could. But like my argument is, we have a bull flag pennant type thing. Pennants, whatever. But we do have a double top, and I don't think that's going to happen, honestly, because we have so much strong support here. Like this is not a weak. This is a long-term trend line.
And if we look in terms of the daily, if we we talk about a double top, but if you look at the daily closes there, we're noticeably sustaining high prices above that. It's showing it's on the more bullish side than the bearish side.
I don't know if you can see it. If I zoom in, but if I make just a quick little line here on the daily close over here, this candle opened above that, right?
Yeah,
and it's still up. So just that for me is pretty bullish, and we do have some significant top wicks, but more significant lower wicks, I would say. I definitely see more bullishness in the market here, and we are actually in the absolute dead center of this channel that we have here. But yeah, there's not much above here really either.
Yeah, there's enough room to sort of have a play and just start. I think it'd probably be a grind higher. I don't think it'd be a pump up like we've just seen. I could be wrong. The last two. To be fair, looking at the chart now, the last two pumps have been double pumps, and so maybe there's one more jump up, and then it'll flag out for a while.
I would say so. And we discussed briefly before we started here, I think, that we came out of this old range that we always talked about, where we saw it bounce perfectly, except for this thing down here, but we saw this bounce here that kind of confirmed our thesis for the whole period, really. And now we're back now we're in a new range, really, which is between these two fib levels, and I still argue these are valid. I know there are some people that would say like, whatever, it's there's new ones now. There, the fib level should be
and they're valid. They're valid too,
and they're valid too. But longer term is stronger, for the most part. But yes, so we might be seeing something to pump right up to here, 36. We're kind of talking about seeing like a giga pump just to grab liquidity and then get out.
I mean, it'd be nice to see something irrational, because unfortunately this kind of looks too rational. This current sort of step, this step phase motion is, and that's kind of this does look pretty institutionalized. It looks regimented.
It looks very S&P 500-y.
Yes. Now I'm perfectly happy for Bitcoin to go S&P 500-y, and maybe that's I did call for that for a quite a long period of time. Would be an end to this sort of volatile nature of Bitcoin and move into an up only. Last year the world decided to fall apart financially. There's I think I saw the number. It was 39 trillion wiped off global assets, and that was a lot. And yeah, Bitcoin is not immune to that, by a long way. So
yeah, and something that I think we don't really talk enough about, actually, that I think we should is looking at Bitcoin against other denominators, like other currencies, because if you live in Venezuela and you're buying Bitcoin, good for you, because that chart is vastly different to this one. We're looking at a very stable currency with the dollar. Compare that to, just compare the dollar to the British pound. What's your inflation right now, Rob? It's like 13% on the British pound.
It's coming down. It's coming.
It's coming down, but it's like, dollar peaked at 9.1. I think you peaked at 14 or 13 something.
It's not really a fair assessment on that, because you've got to consider.
I'm walking over to the next part, which is look at the Bolivian, the Venezuelan currency and all these things.
Bolivar.
Thank you. It's just, Bitcoin is not just for traders to trade and make more money. It's something that is actually good for somebody in a country where you have hyperinflation. If you can get paid and buy Bitcoin, the next day you're going to be able to sell some Bitcoin and buy more stuff for that. It's protecting you from the inflation, because the prices of an apple is doubled every day basically over there.
Yeah, well, yes and no, because they don't use the Bolivar. The Bolivar is useless. So
yeah, exactly. Now it is, but
in that sense, they have a multi-currency system where they just use whatever's to hand. They would accept you if you walked up to them with euros, they'll accept euros. If you walked up to them with dollars, they'll take dollars. They'll typically, they use dollars. But and so Bitcoin is just an easy alternative to that, but its day-to-day volatility gets in the way still, because
unfortunately
you have to if you're talking about cross-border trade, and this is why a lot of people will still deride stable coins, and I will keep telling them the stablecoin market is going to grow to $1 trillion market cap if it's allowed to. The reason it might not be allowed to is because the way that they store their wealth, the way they make money is through investment in government bonds, and they may become such a gigantic player in the global bond market that they could essentially move markets. They'll be able to move around the global debt market, and crypto having that kind of power over the bond market isn't good, because it's we see the volatility of crypto would potentially extend into the bond market, and that would bring a lot of attention down on us. But that's kind of where stable coins are going, where they allow anybody to invest in global stable currencies. Somebody in Venezuela can essentially has a route into government bonds, US government bonds, the safest investment on the planet. And eventually, that's how you have dollars. You will be able to have sort of crypto dollar yielding assets, and that will be more appealing than Bitcoin. So I know, it's boring. Yes, I know it's boring, golden goose, but it's true. And so, that's a roundabout way, but it's we have to consider that although Bitcoin's value sort of proposition is very much towards sort of emerging markets and people without stable currencies, but people without stable currencies that don't have any money also don't have money to invest in Bitcoin.
That's the rough part.
Yes, but stable coins are a segue in. They're a route in for people to actually stop having their money in an unstable fiat currency, get into the dollar, and from there actually be able to increase the purchasing power for their own country, and then that's their intro into Bitcoin. So a lot of Bitcoin, I think that's something a lot of Bitcoin maximalists miss, that there's more to the market and crypto than just Bitcoin, and the market will decide. what's important or not.
The question is if people are not really catching how important these stablecoins actually are, like for overall global liquidity, right? It's like
essential.
it's ever since stablecoins became a thing, the crypto market has just been so much better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I remember trading in 2017 and only having many coins, just having Bitcoin pairs. They didn't. No, tether pairs were quite rare. And so I traded most of my stuff versus Bitcoin and got to lose my Bitcoin directly instead of just losing dollars.
Yeah, rough times, huh? Well, either way, for the GA, we're expecting up. We're expecting it to land. I'm expecting it to land somewhere around here, maybe. Could get stuck here though, because of this. Other than that, well, it's not just
there's
that.
no rush. This market is. This is an accumulator's market dream, really. These long periods of stable prices, with like the volatile, it's just nice sideways volatility where you can pick out lots of bottoms, buy lots of red days, and just enjoy it. At some point, this uptrend that we've drawn will break, and we'll get a downtrend.
Yep.
Do a crypto token become a global currency? Well, we have multiple global currencies, but that doesn't make our other currencies void.
Well, no, that's true. I think what he's trying to say is, if correct me if I'm wrong here, Golden Goose, but when you say crypto token, you're not talking about the coins themselves. Or I'm guessing you're categorizing tokens and coins, so like L1 coins and stuff like that. But really, Rob, you're right. The other currencies won't be void either way. I mean, maybe the Bitcoin becomes some type of. I mean, I guess the dream scenario would be Bitcoin becomes some kind of standard.
So Bitcoin will become a global reserve asset.
Yeah, like gold.
Like gold, like the dollar, Bitcoin will become one. The main reason Bitcoin will become one is because of the prevalence of that people are going to start to cotton on to Bitcoin's incredible ability to capitalize on waste energy. And as soon as the eco-maniacs get on board, and they will eventually, they're going to get on board, and there will be this complete wave of Bitcoin-based renewable technology. And when that happens, Bitcoin becomes a de facto store of energy for the planet, which is a very strange sort of concept, but I promise you, Bitcoin is a store of energy. And then at that point, its value it prices the global energy market. And Bitcoin, if energy is, to me, energy is the global reserve asset. It's not dollars. It's how much energy we can produce and consume reliably. That's our real currency. Because however many dollars you've got, if you don't have energy, you can't do shit. You may as well just be a tribal. You may as well be a tribe or an indigenous species.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to kind of explain to people that are new to this whole space. I know there are a few people watching right now that are not really into the crypto space, but it's difficult to explain, at least for me, that with Bitcoin you can actually transport the value of energy across space and time without the need for transportation. And that's kind of a weird concept to wrap your head around, and it's very hard to explain it like properly as well.
So I have an explanation.
Oh yeah, let's hear it.
So a lot of people think that Bitcoin is digital gold. We call Bitcoin digital gold. In fact, Bitcoin is digital oil. That is a much better, because if you think what oil itself is a store of value, the many countries have national reserves of oil because it's a strategic asset.
Mhm.
It's unlike oil. It's in that Bitcoin isn't consumable, whereas oil is. But still, it's you can't create oil anywhere. You can only create oil where it is abundant to dig it out the ground. The same as Bitcoin, you can't create it anywhere. It's a form of, you can only create it where energy is abundant. You produce it, and then you transport it to where it is needed, where you can sell it for more than it costs to produce, i.e.
Yeah.
an exchange. So you are taking advantage of the abundance of energy in your place. One of them's a fixed form of energy, oil. The other is any form of energy at all, and then you transport it somewhere it's worth more. Bitcoin is digital oil.
Yeah, I love that. That's
it's digital gold as well because it's not consumable.
I can't remember exactly what it was that Saifedean Ammous said to Jordan Peterson when he orange pilled him, but I remember the face.
It's essentially it's
essentially that.
So yeah, so you have a good way of practically thinking about that is China you can produce energy for 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and in the UK here, say it's 25 cents a kilowatt hour. You could build 1,000 megawatt power plant in both the UK and China. The UK one produces at 25 cents a kilowatt hour. The Chinese one does nothing but mines Bitcoin at 5 cents per kilowatt hour. It can then, we're talking about a mature market here where Bitcoin is much more stable. It can then sell that into the market at a decent markup, and then use that to essentially subsidize the energy in the UK. So a company who is intelligent enough could capture total global market share, of a country, say, by selling energy 30% cheaper than their competitors, by also producing energy across the planet where it's cheaper. You have moved energy from where it is abundant and made it economically viable to produce across the planet. And that is something which no other form of nothing else can replicate. Oil is the closest that we have to replicate in that. In that you move it to a power plant, you put it in a car, and you can use that to transport as mobile energy. Bitcoin does the same thing.
It does the same thing, but
in a different way. It also grid fluctuation is a huge one that the ecomaniacs are going to worry about. The ones that think that wind and solar, which I am an environmentalist, that's why I support nuclear.
Same.
But wind and solar do not work. I'll just tell you that. Unfortunately, they don't work. One way. Yeah, I did get it from a nuclear engineer. Wonder why he does that. One thing that wind and solar can do is produce abundant energy at times. What can we do with that energy? We can capture it. And suddenly, we can produce economic value out of energy which is otherwise surplus. Guess what? You've just made wind turbines actually economically viable. So,
great.
Yeah, the environmentalists need to get on board with Bitcoin, and when they do, good things happen. Here's a fun fact. Say Germany spent $1.5 trillion on energy vend. I know this isn't directly crypto related, but
it's finance.
$1.5 trillion on energy vend. For that amount of money, they could have completely gone 100% nuclear, and now have totally decarbonized energy. They could also be mining Bitcoin with the surplus and be one of the largest Bitcoin producers in the world. Instead, they're burning lignite, banned all the nuclear power plants, and have a carbon intensity about 10 times higher than France. When these dumb people start to cotton on and get clever, or when clever people get in charge, or when somewhere some clever people get put in charge and show the world how to do it properly, the adoption curve will be fast. So we were talking about, this sort of a whole segue came from saying about Bitcoin being a currency for the little guys. I think that it's more corporations and nation states will end up being the reserve holders of Bitcoin, and they will, as much as people won't like that in terms of the whole freedom perspective, that's how it gets value. it gets value from that level of adoption.
Yes, but I think what we're actually searching for is a to revert back to the gold standard by using Bitcoin as the denominator. Really, because if it's going to be nation states that are going to be mining and holding it, it's like holding gold, and then you can redeem your dollar or whatever for Bitcoin.
So see, I don't think we will ever go back to a gold standard, because a gold standard,
I don't think so either.
A gold standard has a lot of problems. There's a reason we came off the gold standard. And
we need a hybrid. We've discussed this before. We need a hybrid.
It's not just money printing forever. We haven't discussed it properly. We need to.
Yeah, no, we haven't. But we did say that we want to do that with somebody who is actually very much in that field. Somebody like Saifedean. Saif, if you're listening, we want to talk to you, Mo. Come on.
Yeah. Unblock me on Twitter.
Yeah. No, but really, if we could sit down and have, I think we shouldn't go into a Bitcoin standard as a Bitcoin as the only currency. And that's going to be, I don't know if that's going to work. I need a couple of arguments for somebody who is very much in the Austrian economic camp that knows way more about it than I do. And then somebody to argue against that in the Keynesian economics too. I know you can.
I can play both sides of the argument.
So yeah, I can too. But I think there might be some stuff that we might not have thought of, and we need somebody who's really
if you just
in
look
it.
at this, if you look at this, just this comment, will there be a crypto token to become a global currency? No, many of them will.
Yeah.
Stable coins will, Bitcoin certainly will, Ethereum certainly will, and yeah, there's going to be the tokenization of everything is going to continue.
Yeah.
NFTs, there's going to be masterpieces that sell for hundreds of millions of dollars whose ownership will be governed with NFTs, and these NFTs will sell for millions of dollars, and they will be on the Ethereum blockchain. And these things will be global currencies. But now, when we talk about a return to Austrian economics, we never moved away from Austrian economics. You can always choose not to. Austrian economics is really, it's just investing in stuff. It's just keeping your money in something other than money, having your value fully backed by something. So if all your money's tied up in real estate, congratulations, you're an Austrian economics practitioner. Keynesian is more about, it's the problem with Austrian economics is if the supply of something is fixed, for example, the number of housing, but the economy grows massively, or the supply side grows massively, demand side grows massively, you end up with a whole lot of constraints, and you can't function but your economy doesn't have enough liquidity. So it's useful to be able to grow the money supply as the economy grows, to provide the elasticity and provide stability in the price of money. And then similarly, during recessions, you should reduce the money supply. And that's called counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Now, the problem is, governments decided, okay, we can print our way out of the recession, but then they forgot about the boom time.
Yeah.
They forgot about raising the interest rates and actually countering measures, holding things in both directions. They held it in one direction, they prop it up, let it run, and then prop it up again when it collapses. So what they're doing isn't proper Keynesian economics. They're not doing proper counter-cyclical fiscal policy.
No,
so
it's greed. A lot of it.
It is. So what will happen is, but will it replace fiat? No. Fiat will continue to work. And yeah, it'll continue to depreciate. Eventually, you'll pay $50 for a loaf of bread. So what? That won't really be a problem. What will end up happening is that a lot of these less stable currencies will end up, just game theory dictates that some of them, like El Salvador, will make Bitcoin a currency, and then they will back their own national currency with their Bitcoin reserves. And move towards it won't be a fully backed system. It'll be a fractionally backed system, but it probably won't even be a backed system. They'll just have a reserve of Bitcoin, a reserve, and just like having a reserve of gold, you build up your reserves during good times. During bad times, you sell off your reserves. That's just Austrian
that's kind of
economics
what.
is always an option. You can always be Austrian, but
Yeah.
people don't because it doesn't really work all the time.
Yeah, but this
That's
is the
the
thing.
problem.
This is the argument that people have, is that they want one side wants to go Keynesian, the other one wants to say to go Austrian. But it's like, in reality, a proper discussion on how to combine the two into a hybrid that actually works is what you need, really.
Well, arguably Keynesian was working fine up until the global financial crisis.
Well, yeah,
That is where everything broke. Before
Yeah.
that, you look at rises in the
But
stock market, you look at rises in the
Robert,
house market. Yeah, go on.
If it can break, it doesn't work.
No, it broke because it was run by people.
Yeah,
The system.
so it doesn't work.
The actual system. No, Well, no. That's nonsense. That's like
I
the
don't
system
know.
didn't. The system broke. The system didn't break. The system was abused. People
Okay,
realized.
fair
Politicians realized that actually, if you just keep your finger on the money printer, because what's supposed to happen in Keynesian economics is the economy grows and then you increase your money supply in order to meet the growth of the economy. However, what they realized is that if you print more money and then you hand that out to people via loans, by giving that to banks who issue loans at lower interest rates, who go out and spend it, you can print money, and guess what? GDP goes up because people borrow it and they spend more. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. They realize that actually you can do it the other way around. You can print money and generate growth, but it's phony growth. It's some of it's real. There is real growth in being able to lower interest rates and being able to stimulate people to go out and take out money and invest in themselves. But when those people are just buying Xboxes, it's not real growth. And if they're buying Xboxes on credit that they can't really afford, then when inevitably the real financial conditions return, big old problem.
Yep. No, Sue's right. It's people broke it. And people will break stuff, and that's also one of the arguments for Bitcoin.
And that is
centralization is not there
for Bitcoin. Is that you get rid of the people and you provide just it, and there's a great video by Andreas Antonopoulos. I do suggest everyone goes and watches it, and it's basically talking about Bitcoin as a lifeboat. I'll put it in the comments. And it's this idea, you're on a ship, the ship is sinking, and the ship is fiat, and Bitcoin being the life raft. And it's a really good analogy that he does take quite far, but it's just a good way of visualizing. Yeah,
it won't hurt even if you're not to it.
Yes, and this is the thing. Even if you don't want to get on the lifeboat, it's good to know where it is. It's good to know the route to it. It's good to know. It's good to have that knowledge to be when you want to jump on the lifeboat, you can get there fast.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's never going to hurt you to listen to all sides as well. I know a lot of people, they listen to just one side and then they kind of stick with that. The best feeling in the world for me is when somebody proves me wrong, honestly, because then I know that, okay, I was wrong and now I'm not anymore, right? But either way, we need to start rounding off here soon. I just wanted to say we're sitting just above 31,000 on Bitcoin right now, and this 15-minute candle is looking kind of pumpy right now. So I'm just going to turn into this again. I've zoomed in a lot here. This is the 15-minute scale, which I'm usually not in, but this is the same type of flag that we're currently in on the daily, and this is looking kind of pumpy. As you can see, it's kind of going up and up right now. Here's the 5-minute, and we're above the line. So I'm kind of just expecting this to kind of keep going, really.
Yeah.
And I don't normally zoom in this much, but we'll see. I don't even know if the volume is there. Volume is going up a little bit, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Like next week, we're gonna see if we were right or wrong here. And we'll see. But yeah, if I'm gonna finish this off like we usually do, if it goes up, expect resistance here, and around this line right here. If it continues above that, if it goes down, we're expecting support here, maybe around the Bollinger Band, and here and here. take a screenshot. We were kind of in a hurry.
Exactly as predicted.
No, but yeah, we're looking up. We're looking to the skies right now. Not the skies, but we're looking upwards. We'll see if this day closes above the line. Tomorrow might be interesting. Just saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Indeed.
Cool. We're gonna round it off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you put the link in there to.
I put that in there.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah,
So
thank you. Appreciate it, Johan.
Yeah, Johan, yay. Thanks, dude. We'll see you next week, guys. Just don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a couple of comments, whatever.
Share
everything
it.
helps. Honestly,
get your
share
friends
it.
to watch it because look at us, listen to us. We're delightful.
Yeah. What? Yeah, we're delightful. Yeah, cool. And
Also-
actually now
also
it
we're
counts
on-
even more.
Also, we're on 68 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to be nice. Come on, tell me
Yeah.
if you're nice.
Yeah. Are you nice or are
Someone.
you evil?
There's got
Are
to be
you
somebody
Darth
in here
Sidious
who's
or
nice.
Luke Skywalker? Luke
Honestly, come on,
Skywalker.
before we get off,
What
come
would
on,
Luke
somebody just
Skywalker
tell
do?
you that they're nice.
No, but what? Just think about it. What would Luke Skywalker do? He would like this. Okay, just saying.
What would Luke
Right.
Skywalker do?
Cool.
No.
All right. Cool. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.